Hello again. I know, once again, me with incredibly bad updates. Hence the fact that what should be a weekly update is going to be more of a 16-day one. Potentially could have been longer, but I can't keep track throughout the whole month of February, which is pretty bad from my point. Obviously, not ideal, not great. I think my focus has drifted from birthdays to pets to just exercise to running to housework. That it's thrown my headspace a bit here, there, and everywhere at this moment in time. So obviously, and I keep saying this is something I need to work on, something I do need to improve on. I could count that as one of my other resolutions, with the idea of trying to get a dog and maintaining sort of not having had any energy drinks or any fizzy drinks so far, which I'm amazed that I'm actually still doing, to be perfectly honest. I've not. It's sort of become a habit now, a good habit. So I'm very happy with myself in that respect. That I'm like a sixth into the year, 2 months down. It's not bothered me. I suppose in some ways it's had a slight knock-on effect to my caffeine intake, is that I feel like that's increased, and I originally tried to transition to avoid having caffeine after like midday unless absolute emergencies, but every other day is emergency. Need to potentially be drinking more water. That's another thing I keep meaning to do. Continuous work in progress. That's me, very much so. So you're going to have to bear with me on that one. So once again, apologies. So I'm going to catch up sort of from the 10th of February. I apologise for the fact that I've missed out a chunk between the 2nd to the 10th, I think. Sort of what I've got noted is my 10th starts with finishing drawing up a big topographical survey, which must have been doing the week previously within Ipswich, which is obviously quite good, sort of quite happy with. A lot of it sort of using the Trimble GPSs, which if you're currently, if anyone who watches this as a surveyor knows how much of a godsend they are, in the fact that they can work very well with, despite having building and tree coverage potentially blocking the GNS units from the being received by the satellites. So my set rule, usually speaking, with that is looking at the sort of soft detail with that, not ideally going with the hard detail. Sort of big open space, moving containers. I could pick up a lot of detail in what was a very busy area in regards to traffic. Slight interlude there, my apologies. So big open area, lots of traffic, which is obviously a concern working around a site. Thankfully, sort of work in conjunction with my sort of colleagues, we could establish what to get with which bit of equipment, how to best manage time and sort of assets available to us. This job led to a disagreement with a co-worker, which is another thing that has potentially drawn focus, or my focus, away from other things. I don't know, I consider myself a patient person to an extent, and I could let a lot of things slide, maybe more than I should. And the fact that I'm not necessarily the overly confident and someone that doesn't necessarily value myself very highly. But to have someone repeatedly ridiculing me, my partner, my own relationship, continuously flouting the rules set aside by the company, poor professionalism, things like that. It was a straw that broke the camel's back. And when you're sort of being told about something at a certain time, particularly with work, you show up. If you can't do something, you communicate these things. You don't flat outright deny anything. I have sympathy and understanding if someone can't do something, that they can explain themselves, oh sorry, I've had to do this and this. Failure to do that, sort of repeatedly flouting the rules, working to your own standards, it bothered me on the day. It led to conversations with management and disagreements there, of which should eventually be coming to a head by the time that this video comes out. So I'm hoping it in itself gets resolved. I'm someone that's not necessarily very good at standing up for myself in many situations, so this was maybe quite a big step for me, sort of psychologically being able to do something like this. And it felt strange because everyone else, like when I spoke to people about, I spoke to someone's opinion, sort of, I was doubting myself, sort of someone was like, no, that was the right decision. Okay, but you've witnessed all these things. How come it has to be me to be the one to mention, to say, to do these things, to not put themselves through that sort of level of stress that I'm doing now? Is just, I don't know. It's a combination of things. It's just the fact that I don't know whether it's sort of tolerance levels or, I don't know, cowardice to some extent maybe. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on that respect, but it's something that's sort of moving on, is the fact that communication is so important in the workplace and in any aspect of life. And I have less tolerance for someone that continuously flouts, ignores, tries to be difficult, actively trying to wind me up and upset me, not communicating anything. It's just a build up of emotions to the point of pure just snapping, and I couldn't really take it at that point, which led to many meetings and ongoing investigations and things like that. Like I said, hopefully get resolved so it sort of becomes a weight lifted off of my shoulders at least, and maybe sort of hopefully a change in attitude from the person that it's very much sort of focused around, because it's not on. It's just not. So I'm going for a bit of a tangent there. After sort of the drawing up of that site, obviously I started that on the Monday, that would be the 10th. I continued working through other topographical surveys, other measure building surveys, in order to sort of help wrap up the rest of my other work, because I had sort of several projects on the go at that time, as well as some of my colleagues' work, to try and help them just get everything packed away. Lots of things. I hate having loads of odd jobs, odd projects all above my head. It just get it sorted out, put up, done. Empty desk in front of me, that's what I love, and that's absolutely brilliant. So upon that, I then had a return trip to a site up in Norfolk, which is a slightly different prospect, a site to which I have been to previously, looking at the cut and fill of the actual land in itself, because it's sort of being dug up for work to be carried out on said site. So obviously looking at the ground that's sort of been moving around, sort of spoil heaps, where is everything going, what exactly is there, trying to flatten off the land. It's simple enough sort of surveying on site, in the fact that you're having to essentially just get a lay of levels across a big empty field. However, the client was quite particular, because they seem to have described a discrepancy with the site engineer, I think, over think it's 4.5 millimeters, little bit like that, over a big open space. Oh, it's going to cost us thousands. No, you're so lucky to get those levels to the point that I'm having to bring sort of extra flat, sort of something extra flat to push up on the ground, because they're worried because of the point of a pogo goes into said ground. So having a plate or something like that avoids that, to try and alleviate in that small error. Probably not help things that much, to be perfectly honest with you. But unfortunately, it's their decision how the client chooses to move forward. I think there's sort of tolerances that have to be allowed within surveying work, within many other aspects of work, is that not everything can be exactly 100% how you ideally want it, but you have to move on, you have to deal with that, unfortunately. So, meh. So I would have had the Friday to draw this project up, because they're looking at the quantities and amounts on the land. It involved sort of further mathematics and calculations, as well as the aspect of drawing up a topographical survey. So that's why I would have had the actual whole day, as opposed to a morning to sort that out. That day, of course, was Valentine's Day. Me, the lovable romantic and so on. Simple answer is I didn't do anything Valentine's Day. It sort of got to be a group thing. It's got to be something that both people want. Maybe I sort of do, but that's not solely just down to me on that decision. So we sort of had to leave that one be. Beyond that, we'll have then had the weekend, to which it's just a case of more sort of focus on fitness, when it's sort of in regards to adding runs. Ideally now looking at the idea of doing at least 2 5+K runs a week, which I've been doing. Tidying up the house, learning how to replace a tap in the bathroom because it was dripping, which was an interesting experience, but I've got a few more plumbing skills, thanks kindly to many of the videos upon YouTube, to be able to do something like that, which is, I suppose when you get a house, you learn all these extra little things. You need to sort of learn them. It's far cheaper for me to sort of spend a tenner on on the piece required, and then knowing what to do, as opposed to £100 to get a plumber to come out and do it. So the thing I can do to save money and ease, I did, which is good. The same weekend I ended up going to watch the new Captain America film, the Brave New World. Not overly exciting, I'll be perfectly honest with you. It was a bit meh. Meh is very much how Marvel sort of do it at this moment in time. They've had like 1 or 2 hits in this phase, I suppose, like Guardians of the Galaxy. God, that was probably a while ago now. But it's been just dull. It's just been ugh. Don't feel like there's a plan going forward. They don't know what they're doing going forward. Just open-ended. I mean, I don't think there's any issues with the actors. Maybe it's the writing. Maybe it's the standards that have just been set to such a high level. I just can't quite get it. I mean, there's so much source material for any and all characters within Marvel. They barely touch the surface on some characters in regards to actual comic book storylines, but I just want a bit, I don't know, I want a bit more. I want a bit of magic, that little bit sort of stardust over it. I'm just not getting it with Marvel yet. I don't know if I'm going to get it with DC. It's just, but I'm just sort of so invested into these things, and I think this goes for quite a few people, that they probably got the same mindset. It's just, no, but I've just watched so many of them. It's just, it's a commitment now. You've started it, you've got to finish it. Which is a big commitment. I suppose it's been dragging on and going on for a while. Past that, then was out doing a measured building survey the next week in Essex and along the seaside for Monday and Tuesday. So we're getting into an old boarded up supermarket. Slightly annoyed the clients didn't have set keys, that I had to use a power drill to get in and out of sight. Wasn't the easiest one. No power, no water, sort of completely abandoned building / structure, which made things very difficult and hard to walk around. Always constantly having to have a torch and having to have some source of light on, making sure I didn't trip up on anything. Happy that no strange homeless people were living within that space, but it's what it is in that respect. And then we'll have had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from that week to sort of draw up the project, prioritising certain aspects of the floor plans for the actual site itself, and then getting back to sort of drawing up the rest of it. Well, I've got roof, I've got building elevations, stuff like that I'll continue on with sort of week obviously we're at now. Past that, then my Saturday was going into town, wrapping up birthday shopping, sort of getting a few final bits for my partner's birthday, as well as sort of doing a bit more fitness, a bit more running, a bit more gym, and making the strange decision to try and wrap up Easter, basically, to have another thing just ticked off, done, dealt with. Trying to manage situations a bit easier so they don't become a surprise sort of shock at me later. I know Mother's Day is another one that will be creeping its way around the corner at some point soon, which is another one I will have to sort out, of course. But hopefully I will manage it. We'll see. As well as that, trying to build up on doing a few more lives on TikTok, which I think I'm slowly building a slightly stronger fan base for. The slight anger and frustration of having to tell people that it's illegal for me to be showing streams on TikTok, they can get banned, and if they want to go watch it, they can find somewhere else they can off. I'm there as sort of a watch along, a different perspective, an alternative to the sort of commentary, thoughts and opinions, somewhere for people to interact and share. And whether it's about football, it's about anything. That's the whole point, and the whole thing that I sort of stress. Even sort of having chats with Chelsea fans, Cambridge United fans, even a Norwich City fan, I know. Those have been sort of fairly enjoyable experiences. No sort of lulls or uncomfortable things sort of going on in that respect. So then I've had the Monday and Tuesday booked off. Monday, it was sort of gym and a bit more running. I decided to make a big effort and a push to get my 10k target. See if I could do it, which I did, which I was really happy with. Granted, I need to, when I'm starting to do running a bit more, I can't just get up and just go. I should probably try and think about planning a route instead of just sort of running down a road and thinking, oh, I'll go down that one, I can loop around that one and go around that one. Maybe a bit more foresight going into it might make things easier to create a nicer route instead of a very hilly one of just going up and down, up and down. In theory, it's a more challenging one, so it might be more beneficial in the long run. Probably not the best idea, let's be honest. So I was very, very happy with myself in that respect. Then sort of spent the rest of the day wrapping up birthday presents for the actual Tuesday, which is my partner's birthday, of which one of the main events was sort of a trip to London to look at the F1 exhibition at the XL Centre. My partner is very, very much into Formula One, which was an interesting experience. I myself don't have a strong interest. Some aspects of it I enjoyed. One aspect I didn't really enjoy of it is potentially the organisation / the large amount of people. London is always a busy place, lots of people, not being very much aware of sort of their surroundings, their space, not being afraid to barge into someone else's, to speak to create large amounts of noise, to read out loud because they can't read inside their own heads. Come on, people, you're old enough. I'm sorry, not having that. And it's just, if there was like slightly less people, slightly, so I could sort of just enjoy and appreciate things a little bit more, I would have actually been a lot happier with that, I suppose. But I think my partner enjoyed it. I think some of the things I did quite enjoy, I suppose. Like, I think seeing some of the older cars, sort of ones like Lewis Hamilton's car, sort of went on one of the Formula Ones to which he won, which I thought was quite cool. We're seeing some of the helmets, some of the more old school cars, sort of looking into the different people that had sort of a strong influence on Formula One, including sort of Enzo Ferrari, Bernie Ecclestone, sort of all of those sort of people that have made Formula One the sort of big multi-billion-dollar sort of thing that it is now. So they went out for a nice sort of meal nearby. I believe it's called the Fox, just outside of the Excel, just pub grub. I'm happy, she's happy. Food's food, mate. I'm not a particularly fussy person. I think a lot of my meals nowadays are sort of chicken and rice with a little bit of chilli, or just pasta, a little bit of red sauce. It's just, that's any meal out, I suppose. Enjoyable enough. So I suppose that's all wrapping that one up very nicely. So it would be on to my Wednesday and today, which was essentially just drawing up, sort of finishing up my MBS job, which I will be wrapping up hopefully tomorrow, as well as sort of going to the gym in particular. So looking at, what was I looking at in regards to the last couple of days? So it was shoulders and core yesterday, it was legs today, so I'm going to be very slow and not very mobile, so we'll see if I can get myself up for a 5k run tomorrow morning. But I'll leave at that point there. Hope I haven't sort of droned on too much and gone off on too many tangents, and hopefully I will be a little bit better at the upload, as I will be staying away in a hotel where I think I can create sort of space and time which I can then focus more on you guys, hopefully. So I'm hoping I haven't repeated this song as well, as this has been the main song of my last couple of weeks, which has just sort of slipped in to every single one of my playlists, is Medusa by Cameron Whitcomb. A sort of slight country song, I suppose. I feel like it's starting to get quite mainstream, and maybe I just don't know what's considered mainstream music these days. Considering a lot of my friends have already picked up on this and really liked it. Very upbeat. There's just something about country twang right now. I just can't get a nice tune in your head, sort of, or a nice just little lyric. It's very much so with this song. Absolutely love it. Thank you very much. I will see you all later.